What's up, guys? We're back. We're back again. Hope you're happy to hear, maybe see us again. Welcome to the Window Podcast, where you get a look at our personal takes on current affairs and social commentary. My name is Josh Jesse, and I'm joined with
Laurie. Wait, no, okay. We need to like how we're gonna do
There
this.
you go. All right.
Okay.
ladies
Ladies
first.
first, innit?
Naturally.
Do well.
I'm Laurie.
Yeah, and we're the Window Podcast. We've got a lot to get into, so we're not going to dilly-dally too much. There's a lot of important and not so important things that have happened recently. I guess we should start. I guess we should start on Breonna Taylor, and this has been an issue that has been around for months now. With high expectations, should I say. We've been hearing justice for Breonna Taylor. And I think we've gotten to a point now where the jury in, is it Kentucky, have made a decision about the charges they want to give to the officers that were involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor. The decision came, or has come, and it was very interesting that before the decision came, the city started preparing, like, with safety measures. The decision came, and I think it's fair to say most people are more than unsatisfied with the decision that has arrived. So, guys, I'm pretty sure all of us have been following what's been going on with Breonna Taylor.
Indeed.
How are you feeling at this junction of the story?
At the end of the day, sorry, no, Lauren, go ahead.
I think it's unfortunate that history is telling America's history is still heading in the wrong direction. I think one thing that I picked up from it was, in particular, it was that was interesting, is what George Clooney said about it. Obviously, he was very disappointed, and I think most people are. It's like, if in your own home, in the sanctity of your own home, you're shot and killed, should there not be any accountability for it? That's just the very basic question about it, and apparently not. America is headed in the wrong direction.
I think it's a strange one, because when we're dealing with certain professions, so like doctors, police officers, people that essentially do certain things or that are high risk and certain expectations of them and things like that, like I do think there's a level of scope that we can give to people of those professions, which I think is what this whole thing is sitting on. That
When you say scope, do you mean like room for error, or?
Yeah, there's a certain room for error.
Okay.
Otherwise, if that wasn't the case, it would be impossible to do the job, for one thing. So, like, I'm trying to be as objective as I can be when it comes to that. However, I think, echoing what Lauren said, I can't believe that someone can get killed in their home and there be such little consequence in regards to that, rather than just, and it's weird because part of me gets, from a fundamental level, why, but then I'm also like, people should not be treated that way. People should not live in fear of the police in that kind of way. Like, it just should not be the case.
Are you saying that because of precedent, in terms of their decision has been made because they don't want to set like a precedent?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe it's, again, like, maybe I should think a little bit more in the way of morally what is right, but I also tend to think like practically how can this be addressed, because police officers will make mistakes, like that is going to be the case. I do think there needs to be better training of police officers. I do think that the way that you become a police officer in the US and even in the UK is ridiculous. The standards are crap. That I think there should be a lot more study around certain things and unconscious bias and how you should act in particular areas and fear and stuff like that. But we're not in that space. So then it becomes a thing of like, unless you are absolutely certain that this person killed this person with intent or went into that situation knowing that they're going to do, like, do you get what I mean? Going to do something that they shouldn't be doing, it becomes tricky. But I then also understand, considering everything going on and the way that Black people are being treated and the fact that she's in her own home and all this kind of stuff, it's just incredibly sad and sick. So I feel very conflicted about it, because when the judgment came, I was like, I actually understand why this is the case. However, it's also disgusting still. You get what I mean?
I mean, when I remember talking to someone when the Breonna Taylor thing really came to the nearer when the George Floyd thing happened, and then Breonna Taylor's name started coming up. And I remember being reluctant to really have a view on it, because I'd seen like little bits of the story at what the story that was being told at the time. I'd seen little bits of it, but I hadn't heard the whole story. I just heard her name and I heard that she'd been killed in her house.
Yeah.
Right. So it's only been further down the line that it's been like explained what actually happened, that they were going to do a drug search, blah 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 blah, all not drug search, but they had a warrant on all of this stuff.
No knock warrant.
Yeah,
like,
and all of that
even
stuff.
as a concept is a bit strange to me. I don't know if that's something that exists in the UK.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So now this decision has come, and I think I've looked at it because we all studied law here anyway. So the first thing I looked at it was from like a legal perspective. Then I looked at it from like just a personal perspective. Then I looked at it from like an overall societal perspective. And I think on the legal side, I'm probably with Joel, where I understand why they've gone with the decision that they've gone with. Are there probably still some legal loopholes that you can find that they could have gone with a different decision? It's possible. I think there were.
Yeah.
But I understand why they went with the decision they went with. On the personal side, I just think it's a tragedy just all round. Like, and it's a tragedy, I guess, that ties into the societal aspect, because when I look at it, I can't blame anyone for what happened between the individuals that night, if that makes from the story I've heard that they used or gave to the grand jury, right? I can't blame any of the people involved. But when I zoom out and I look at the fact that it's a warrant, it's a warrant for drugs, number one. And I think the issue about drugs and like this whole war on drugs thing, it's probably the amount of lives lost fighting the war on drugs compared to the amount of lives lost on drugs is not worth it. That's number
genuinely. The amount of force used for non-violent crime is...
It's just like, what are we really doing? Number two, performing a raid at like 12 o'clock, midnight. That has something is going to go wrong all over it. Like, I don't understand why you would get signed off on that. Like, I don't understand why the police would have that in their like options of things to do.
America and America in their policing capacity they have a lot of far-reaching like abilities and things that they can do that just don't make sense.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't make
like
sense.
it's part and parcel of just how they operate. That's the
And
problem.
then you get to now zooming in back to the actual people involved. Number one, so like I said, it's midnight. You're going you're going to force your way into someone's house at midnight, which for me spells disaster. Number one. None of you have cameras. So like that's for me is what's going on. So one side is saying they gave an alert and they said we're coming in. Other side is saying that didn't happen. Obviously, we don't have cameras. We don't know. So what can we do about that? But yeah, sure. If you charge into someone's house and that person thinks that you might be coming in to harm them and they have a gun, perfectly reasonable that they will shoot at you. Like, I don't see that as unreasonable. And the fact that they dropped the charge against her boyfriend proves that they believe that he didn't know that they were police, right? So he's shooting at people thinking that he's in danger, which he's perfectly
the US allowed to do.
Yeah. But then at the same time, as a policeman, if I get shot at, I'm shooting back.
Yeah.
Because that's perfectly within my right to do. So it's like everybody in there has been put in a position that they shouldn't have been put in.
That's the absurdity
from a zoomed out perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what, for me, that's what makes it a tragedy. Like, everybody in there has been put in a position that they should never have been in the first place.
Yeah.
And so, and then after the like outside of the actual event of that night, I just don't like the way different sides have taken the event and like tried to use it for their own whatever agenda.
Breonna Taylor being.
Do you think the issue is over politicized?
Definitely. I think. Well, what I think is there's certain things that needed to change in light of the event, but I think the things that are being focused on are wrong.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
100%. And I just feel like when we look at these situations, a lot of the time when they are perpetuated against Black and brown people, most of the time Black people, we deem it as that person individually is a racist person that went to go and kill a Black person. Right. Where instead of understanding that, like, there's certain institutions, there's certain ways of thinking, there's certain ways of things being done that just disproportionately affects Black people, which is what we call systemic racism. There's something within the system that disproportionately affects us. So the war on drugs in particular, which we could say has been used to create the mass incarceration of Black people in the US, which is again the reenactment of slavery. That is something that disproportionately affects Black people, because you can't say that they are not white dealers, but when you go and look at who is more likely to be a dealer because of their socio-economic background and because of redlining and all of these sort of things, it disproportionately affects Black people. So all of this kind of stuff, even the fact that supplying drugs is affected with violent, they're very violent in the way they tackle it, rather than looking at it as a non-violent crime and trying to tackle it in a non-violent way, rather than they do the same thing with sex trafficking. There's so many greater issues that are truly affecting people. It's not saying that people shouldn't focus on drug use, but if anything, we should be looking at the addiction rates in the country and how we can tackle that, and what actually puts people in a situation where they take drugs and get addicted to drugs and that kind of stuff. Should be more about rehabilitation. Blah, blah, blah. That's it. It should be more about that and prevention than the supply. If there's no one that wants to buy the drugs,
but I think the biggest solution, and we're not going to go into how to solve the war on drugs thing. We will move on. But
Yeah.
I do think at this point in time, after what now 30 years of this so-called war, I think the
Tactics.
solution that deals with most of the issues in the most sweeping way is to legalize most of this stuff. Because number one, you're taking it out of the hands of criminals.
Mm-hmm. Can regulate tax
which
it.
you can regulate, and then that also should also lead to a decrease in violence, because if it's not in the hands of criminals anymore, then what are they going to be violent over? They might find some other stuff to do, but it's not going to be over drugs.
But then when you say legalize,
do you know what? Oh my gosh, could I quickly add, this is so crazy, because just this week, now that we're talking about this, just this week, right, there's basically a crack house right behind my house.
Oh yeah, I saw your snap.
Right, this is the craziest thing. There's a crack house right behind my house, and they've been there for a few years, right? And we all know that.
Is this something you just noticed just now, or like recently?
No. We know. Like, they're always shouting in the night. They're like No. At first, they used to shout and all of that during the night. And there's a pub just down the road, so I used to think they were just alcoholics, right? But then it got to a point where they no longer had real curtains anymore on their windows. That's when I knew it was drugs. So it's probably both, right? They're probably taking everything that they can.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm sitting here chilling, obviously working from home in my room, and then I just hear screaming in the road, and I look out the window, and it's one of the people from the house, and she's basically on the phone to the ambulance, and she's like, "You need to get here now. You need to get here now." So I'm thinking, has someone like died, or is someone like overdosing, or what? Like, what's going on? And next minute, I see, because there's like a GP right next to my house. Literally right next to my house is a GP. So they've gone over to the GP and asked one of the doctors to come to check in the house. Right. So he's gone in there. And then whilst he's there, the ambulance have arrived. And they're putting on all their like COVID gear and all of that, blah, 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 blah. Finally, they get it on. They go into the house. About 20 minutes later, the woman was definitely high, right? So she's just standing in the middle of the road, like screaming, crying, whatever. Then another woman comes out and another man, and now they're both crying, screaming, blah, blah, blah. And at that point, I was like, yeah, he's definitely like, whoever's in there has overdosed and died.
Shit.
So, and then next thing you know, these two little girls come and they go to the door, and then they just start burst out crying. And then these two boys come later on. They go to the door. They burst out crying, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, this is like all his family. I think even his mum ended up coming, blah, 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 blah. Man's 40 years old, right? His daughters, they look like they're probably 16, 17-ish, right? This is a white family. And I was looking at them, and most of the adults looked like they were all on drugs, right? And I was just thinking, imagine what's going to happen to those children now, like losing your dad at this age. That's probably going to push them into drugs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's just like the knock-on effect of having this in society. It's not regulated. There's no controls over it. It's just this thing that's done in the dark, right? And then the effects of it is just, and funnily enough, without saying any names, there's someone I know that knows that family, right? And he was telling me that, because I thought it was heroin, right? And he was like, nah, that man was on harder stuff than heroin. And I was like, what is harder than heroin? Like,
cocaine,
what could possibly be harder than heroin?
Cocaine is harder than heroin.
He said like it was some, he gave the name, it was some kind of opioid, right?
How is an opioid harder than heroin?
Well, I think opioids are heroin.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but yeah, it was like some weird name, right?
Right. Okay.
And I was like, how is this even in this country? Like, I thought this type of thing happens in America. But yeah, the point is, it's literally now that we just started talking about how is the best way to deal with drugs. And I just remembered all of this happening this week, right? And like now, every time I look out the window and I just see the house, it just makes me think like something so small that you can just put in your body can literally like destroy you.
Paralyze you with addiction, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think
crazy.
I think, yeah, no, one of the things that definitely will help address the issue of drugs just in general is the discourse about it, and like having it so rehabilitation isn't frowned upon, isn't
Yeah.
looked down upon. Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's talk another tragedy. This one is just confusing. For me, the word all over this is confusion, confusing, Confucius. Just everything to do with confusing. I have no idea what's going on here. Tory Lanez has, out of the blue, decided he wanted to speak. He notified people on social media that he wanted to speak. A lot of people were waiting to see what he has to say. I think most people were assuming he was going to do maybe an IG live. And the time came, and it wasn't an IG live. It was a whole 17-song album. So clearly, Tory Lanez has been making the most of his time in quarantine and in isolation and in silence.
This period of time, you didn't spend penning the most articulate apology to Meg Thee Stallion. He was writing down bars, right?
He was writing down bars. And I mean, to make a 17-song album in the space of, when did that incident happen? July?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, you have to give credit to him there on the work rate.
I don't have to give any credit to him.
But yeah, let's talk the real issue here. And well, this is another one where I feel like you have to put the whole thing into different compartments, right? So let's first of all talk. What is your opinion of Tory Lanez being silent since July, and then now coming to address the topic in the medium of an album?
Very evil man.
Wow.
Okay. Like, because my thing is, I haven't listened to the album. Okay, I'm not going to. I don't want to give him anything. Okay. My boyfriend listened to the album. Okay. Against my best of wishes.
Against your wishes. I can imagine him in the corner.
But so he came to come and say, "Oh, it was really stupid because I don't understand how he's talking about protecting Black women and Black people and blah blah. But he's done this and kind of apologized." And I said, "Well, that's the reason I told you not to listen to it." Bullshit. But like, this is, I'm so sorry, but this is just something that Black men do, and I'm so sorry to the
Right, what you're gonna
Black
have
men
to
make
do?
17-song albums about accusations.
You're gonna have
no,
to.
as in that he's deflecting instead of actually addressing the situation and being like, I did something that I shouldn't do because I have short man syndrome and I'm really sorry. And I'm not gonna really try, I'm gonna not do it again. Maybe I have an alcohol problem or whatever. Like, fine. But to create something that you're going to make profit off is truly disgusting to me. Even these stupid little YouTubers that make them these racist comments and do all this ridiculousness, when they make their apology video, they demonetize it. You have gone and created a whole... Yeah, from Nella Rose. From Nella Rose.
The Rose said, "I'm getting this money if it's the last thing that I do."
To be fair, people were sending her death threats about her parents.
Yeah,
Like it was something. But like, I just couldn't believe that he created something that he could make money off in order. Was that an apology? Like, I didn't get it. What was he saying?
but I think
He's
what
talking about the black community. I didn't get it.
I feel like we've come into this with a lot of assumptions, right?
Mm.
Because we came into his when he said, "Oh, 9 o'clock, whatever, blah blah blah." Everybody came into it assuming he's going to say sorry.
Because that's what he should have done.
Well. Hold on. We're saying that's what he should have done, but we're saying that based on assumptions, because
we're assuming that he did it.
Because we're assuming that he did it, right? Whereas
wait, what were we assuming that he did?
That he
shoot
shot
her.
Meg.
He did shoot her.
Yeah, what else could we?
No, but he did shoot her.
How do you know that?
What?
There's nothing.
They were the only two people in the car, right?
No, they weren't. There was 4 people in the car.
There's 2 other people.
There were 2 other people in the car.
But it was either her girl or the bodyguard.
Or the bodyguard.
So no,
He
hold on,
shot
guys.
her,
Hold
man.
on.
Come on, he shot her.
Exactly.
Hold on. Let's.
And he texted her to apologize, saying,
Hold
"I'm
on.
He shot her.
No. Hold on. You see, this is all assumptions. He had texted to apologize, but in the apology, he didn't mention anything about shooting. So he was apologizing for something happening, but we don't know what the apology was for.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. We need to step back from the assumptions.
Okay, if we're stepping back then,
and put the facts here and put our assumptions here.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay, let's separate the two then. If we're assuming that he did shoot her,
right?
Sorry, scratch that. If we're assuming that he didn't shoot her, why would he apologize? Why would he need to apologize?
Because something went wrong that night, and he talked about it in the album. So he said what went wrong that night.
What did he
gave
say?
the whole story about what went wrong that night.
What did he say?
He basically said Kylie was looking good. He basically said Kylie was looking good. He saw an opportunity. Clearly, he also knew that it wasn't right. He knew that there would be an adverse reaction to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, once again, we have to be clear. Even though he apologized in those texts, he did not apologize for any shoot. There was no mention of shooting. So
he's saying that he's apologizing for moving to Kylie. Is that
because in the album he talks about the fact that him and Meg, they had a thing, which we didn't know that.
No, but we did know that.
No, we knew that afterwards, but I'm saying we didn't know that before. And even Meg, since then, remember in all of her statements, she has not said me and Tory had a thing. She hasn't said that. So he's now coming to say that. So that's what I'm saying. Let's take the facts in one, or the clear facts that we have in one box and the assumptions in another box. Let me just be clear. Whether he did do it or didn't do it, doing the album, for me, that's not the right move. You shouldn't have done an album on it to profit off it.
Yeah.
But rewind.
If he didn't shoot her, who shot her, please?
This is the thing. This is the thing that we have to address. It's very, very interesting that there were 2 people there and we haven't heard a word from them. You guys might not find that interesting, but I find that very, very interesting. 2 other people there, we haven't heard a single. One of them is her best friend, by the way. Yeah. If your best friend got shot by someone and you don't say anything after then, do you think that's normal? Do you think that's normal? Well, do you think that's normal?
It depends. Like, some people, especially like for example, if my girl was in a situation and she wasn't speaking on it, I wouldn't speak on it. And then if she then decides...
Okay, but now your friend has spoken on it twice.
Yeah, if she then decides to speak on it, and she's covering everything, I wouldn't feel the need to speak on it. It would more so be a situation...
And you saw that people were getting onto your friend saying, oh, we don't believe this, we don't believe that. You're telling me you wouldn't feel the need to be like, nah, I have to say something. And this is not just the situation. This
I
is
think
your
it's one
friend
of those
getting
where
shot.
you're not stoking the fire. So obviously, regardless of
especially if I have a friend who, like, for example, I've got a friend who's got a YouTube channel in Ghana. She's got quite a lot of subscribers. She's got a lot of people that like her, whatever. People chat shit about her all the time. If I was in the comments, like, oh my god, no, like, it's just a waste of time. Like, I know what's going on in her life.
Okay, let me narrow it down a bit. It's not only that you're her friend, you were supposedly her best friend, and you haven't said anything, but now we've never seen you two together ever since then.
So, wait, who is the girl even? I don't even know who the girl is.
Her name is like something. I think she was like she was playing the role of like her manager or something like that. I think her name began with K or something.
Well, how do we know that they're not hanging out?
Because before they were always showing us that they were hanging out, and now I
feel like Megan's not showing a lot of her life anymore. I feel like she's stopped.
Nah, that's not true. She showed herself in the club pretty soon afterwards. She's basically tried to.
But she used to like she was almost like a vlogger. Like, her Instagram was like, now we're at the pool, and now we're here, and now I'm making a TikTok, and now I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. She's not doing that anymore. Like, she's just like, she doesn't share as much. Not at all.
It's true. She doesn't.
She probably doesn't. That she's not going to anymore.
She probably doesn't. But my point is this. Let me and let me also be very, very clear, because I know at this juncture there's people saying Josh thinks Meg is lying. I don't think that. I don't think Meg is lying. I'll tell you what I explicitly think. I explicitly think that Meg doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know what happened. On top of that, I believe, because remember, she's part of Rock Nation. They are very savvy people over there. They know how to move, right? And when you're in that position with that amount of money involved in you and around you, people have to protect that. So I believe she's been told, this is how you have to present this situation, right? Now, whether you look at her some way, me personally, I'm not gonna be like she's doing wrong for following that advice, because we have to remember, she's just lost her mom not too long ago. She's had various, tragedies and stuff. She's very young. She's like our age.
Yeah.
So, and now you've become this huge megastar in a short space of time. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving things here, right? So you may not necessarily know how best to deal with a situation like this. So if you've got people in your ear telling you this is the best way to go about it, you might well do that, right? Well, on Tory's side, he might say, well, we had a thing. How can you do that to me? That's basically what he was saying on the album.
Really?
Yeah, that's basically what he was saying on the album. He was basically saying, we were friends. We became more than friends. The people on your side are basically trying to push a certain narrative. How can you do this to me? I'm still willing to, I guess, reconcile.
What? That's how you know.
No, but listen, he's saying I'm willing to reconcile as if he's the one that's been wronged.
No, but that's how you know. That's how you know he messed up. Someone went on the internet to go and tell the world that I have shot them, and I haven't shot them.
No, but
that night.
I know. See, that's what you would just say.
Hold on, Joel. This is the thing, right? So, like I said, going back to what I said about, I don't think Meg knew what happened. I think Meg was very, very drunk that night, right? I think that probably contributed to her adverse reaction to what she saw going on between Tory and Kylie. But Tory and Kylie we've only heard one person talk about that, which is Tory. So
No,
let me.
Meg has also mentioned the Kylie thing and said that Kylie was not involved in anything. Meg has said that.
Well, yeah, she's not involved in the shooting, but Meg is not going to come out and say, "Yeah, I was
as in,
jealous."
like, it's not a
Do you
thing.
really think Meg Thee Stallion is going to come out and be like, "Yeah, I was jealous of what was going on between Tory and
You
Kylie"?
can rap that. My man, the person that I am seeing, was.
How does that? How does that look? How does that look for Meg
How does
to
it
come
look?
out and say, "Oh yeah, I was jealous"?
If she's
about
a bit
Tory?
yacked, then it might not. She might do that precise thing, overreact.
Yeah,
Guys,
but I don't see
guys,
why.
it's
Like,
it's
if, for
very
example, she
clear.
overreacted.
It's very clear that Meg did not necessarily want for people to know about this situation between her and Tory.
No, but she said it was because she was trying to protect him. She didn't want him to get.
No, I'm not talking about the shooting. I'm talking about their situation.
Oh,
That's my point. So no, she's not going to come out and be like, "Yeah, I'm jealous about Tory moving to Cali," because she doesn't want people to know about her and Tory in the first place. So, like I said, I think she was very drunk. This is Meg's words. She said she was walking away.
yeah.
So that adds another cloud of doubt. Because if you're walking away,
Then who shot her? Someone is telling me.
no, we haven't got to that bit yet. We know for sure that a gun was present and a gun was shot.
Yes.
Right? That's the two things we know for sure.
Yes.
We also know that Tory was present, Meg was there, and Meg's best friend and Tory's bodyguard was there.
Yes.
We also know, and this is another place where it could change how you think about it. There were bullet fragments found in her foot.
Yes.
That, for me, when I hear there's bullet fragments, I don't hear I was shot. As in me, I was shot. I hear a gun was shot and something ricocheted. That's what I hear. Because if you were shot, bullet fragments don't stay. It is the bullet. Do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, different types of
I
bullets.
don't understand guns enough.
Yeah, there's different type of guns, and there are guns that are designed to. The bullet is designed to explode inside you.
Yeah.
But if that was the case, first of all, if that was the case where it was designed to explode inside you, what she showed is not how that would have looked. There would have literally been a big fat hole in her leg.
So then why doesn't he come out and say, I did not shoot her? Megan doesn't know what's going on. Because this is actually what happened.
So the problem then is there's a legal side to everything that's going on. So we're on one side, yeah, trying to piece together everything, but there's also a legal side, because remember he's under. They want to get him for possession of a gun, right?
No. So yes, how can they get him for possession of a gun?
Yeah, they can. He's not allowed to. He's not allowed to have a gun.
If he's got priors,
he's got a criminal record.
Yeah.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Why do all these people have criminal records?
Because that's what it takes. That's one of the staples that you require to make it in the industry.
So let's make this quick. Let's make this quick. If you're on being potentially going to jail for possession of a gun, you don't want to mention being around a gun at all. So he's not going to come and say I didn't shoot, because you don't want to talk about it at all until you're in the clear.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's not like, yeah, he's free to say whatever he wants. That's not the case. Meg is free to say whatever she wants. Which is the advantage she has. But my personal opinion, I think it would have been best for everybody to not say anything until all the facts were out. Because what Meg has now done has made it a situation where, okay, I've said this is what happened, and now it's like you have to pick a side. You either believe me or you don't, right? And so how do I put it? And she said it at a point where we don't have all the facts. If it was a thing where...
With what was going on, it got to a point where you have to say something. Like the way that things were going for her, like that was probably highly affecting her her mental health in terms of people.
So do you think what has happened since she said what she said is going to be any better for her mental health?
I feel like she probably thought it would be better. Like sometimes you try and figure out situations and try and do something about them. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Me personally, I don't think she came out and made her statements because of her mental health. I think she came out and made her statements because the people in her ear told her to do it.
She said,
I personally believe.
She said that his side were putting out rumors and putting out stuff into the media to make her seem like she's crazy, even though she hadn't said anything. So she was like, I didn't even say anything to police. I didn't do this. I protected you, blah, blah. And now you're acting like your team are doing all this kind of stuff to make me look like a terrible person. So now I'm not going to say my piece, which is why I'm saying I feel like she was speaking for her own well-being because she was now being victimized. Like,
okay, I'm coming from the viewpoint of I don't think she actually knows what happened. Right. And the reason why, and I think there's certain things that night that happened that night that probably showed that she didn't know what happened. Right. She got back into the car. When the police came, they found her in the car with the rest. Me personally, if someone shot me, right, I'm not getting back into the car with the person that shot me. That's just me personally.
I think again, it depends on the circumstance. Like
it does depend on the circumstances. But I'm just saying what makes me believe that she doesn't actually know what happened, right? So there's that. I mean, the hospital reports and all of that is a bit confusing because she said she got shot in both her feet. And I remember hearing that and I was like, how does that even happen? And then 1 minute is 1 foot, 1 minute is both her feet, 1 minute is bullet fragments, blah, blah, blah. Me personally, the only way all of this makes sense is if something was shot at and it deflected. What's the word I'm saying?
Deflected
and the fragments hit her. That's personally what makes the most sense to me. Now, the only thing that we don't know is who shot it and the intention of the person shooting it. Did they mean to hit Meg? That's number one. And who actually shot it? Me personally, I believe Tory shot the gun.
Right.
That's my belief. Whether he intended on hitting her, because originally what the report is that a gun was shot in the air.
Right. Okay.
We're not gonna figure this out. We're not detectives, so we're not gonna figure this out. But what I'm trying to show you is that I'm not taking either of their stories, right?
Just at face value, right?
Yeah, I don't feel obligated to take any of their stories. And now, because of the fact that they've put out two different stories, it's just made things more divisive, should I say.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they both remain silent and the facts just came out, then there's no where's the division? The facts are the facts. They're out now. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But obviously following the original sort of train of thought though, like the steps that Tory took to give his own perspective, like, is that how he should have gone about it? Because
no.
Yeah. This is the crux of it. Like,
no.
Fundamentally, that was not a well thought out move.
But I this is what I'm guessing his thought process was. Not that I agree with it, but I'm guessing his thought process is, okay, my image has been tainted. This may be the last time that people will actually give me their ear. If he supposedly believes he's innocent, he's going to say, why should I Why should I address this topic and not profit from it somehow when it's ruined my image? Do you get what I'm saying?
He
I'm
doesn't
thinking,
give a damn. He
no,
doesn't give a damn.
I'm not.
About ruining
But
his image.
we have to look at it from he's saying that he's innocent. So what is his thought process from a person that thinks they're innocent? You get what I'm saying? We can think about the thought process also from someone that is actually guilty, which is that I'm guilty. I don't care what happened. I'm going to make some money off it. On the other hand, if he thinks he's innocent, I think what he's thinking is that this may be the last time people hear me. I'm not going to lose from this. I'm going to try and get some gain from it. But either way, I don't agree with go and make an album. Whether you're innocent or guilty, I don't think he should have made an
It's
album.
the wrong move, man. I think morally, it's probably just wrong. Like, it's not right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, and I personally think, Meg should press charges, right? At this juncture, the guy has come out and made a whole album about it. He shot you in your foot. Press charges. Like, I don't see what other option there is on the table. But then again, at the same
Even when
time,
she opened her mouth to come and say that she shot him, what was that? Well, we've already discussed this, haven't we?
but at the same time,
whole...
I've heard, and this could be completely untrue,
yeah,
that Meg doesn't want a trial because there's certain things that would come out in the course of a trial that wouldn't look good. Right? So that's what I'm saying. This thing is all a game of smoke and mirrors. Everybody's got what they want to show and what they don't want to show. Everybody's acting as if there's a clear-cut story when there probably isn't.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, I feel like they forced the public to come into this thing in the sense of taking sides. Whereas if they both remain silent, what can we do as the public? All we can do is just watch. But now they've made it, do you believe Meg? Do you believe Tory? This, that, and the other. And I don't think that helps at all. We'll see what happens. At the end of the day, I don't think we will get the facts because Tory's not going to trial for shooting her. He's only going to trial for possession of a gun. And I think we already know that he had the gun.
Yeah.
So unless Meg comes out and says, I'm taking him to court for shooting me, we're not going to find out. And she clearly has not decided to push that button.
Yeah.
Maybe the album is going to force her hand and she's going to be like, if it's true, if it was true that I know for a fact that you shot me and you've now put out an album, I am definitely going to go to the trial. I'm definitely going to trial. There's no two ways about it. I don't think that's very controversial. I think that's pretty clear cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see.